People could turn on their cameras. That would be easier for me. Um, Peter, I know, has been trying to get in. Um, we don't absolutely need Peter at the meeting, but it's really helpful to have him, I find. So, hello, Riley. Welcome. I just texted Peter to see if he had any luck getting on.
Sorry, I just figured out my audio. Thank you for welcoming me.
Of course, of course. And just so members of the public are supposed to just listen. Um,
Okay,
but if we have time at the end, maybe I can answer a question you have or something, or you can
perfect.
answer
Thank
a
you.
question. So, um, pardon me. You probably heard I have a cold. Oh, Gail, welcome. So, all right. Well, while we wait for Peter, I think we should get started, um, because we have a lot to do. Uh, we're starting. The first item on the agenda is brief updates. I think an important brief update to give is that I'm hearing a rumor that someone is spreading that describes our working group as a unelected, politically appointed committee. Okay. Um, and just so everyone here knows, that's because everyone here was appointed by the Board of Selectmen. And just so everyone knows, the Board of Selectmen appoints all committees and boards in Holden. There may be one or two exceptions, I don't know, but that the vast majority of boards and committees are appointed by the Board of Selectmen. So this one is exactly the same in that way. I think this rumor is being spread because um, there was some people wanted the town manager to appoint everybody, but a majority of the board felt that we should appoint people in the same way to this committee as we do everything else, every other committee. And and it's better to have, a group of people appoint members of a committee than just one person. So you may all be hearing this if people heard this. No? Well, don't be surprised if you do. So, pardon me. Um, so I just wanted to clear that up. So, if you hear that, it's not true. I mean, or at least it's no more true for this committee than it is for any other committee. Okay? So, any thoughts about that? No? Okay. Well, all I can say is, if people reach out to you and start telling you this, feel free to tell them that all, boards and committees in Holden are appointed by the Board of Selectmen, and this is no different. And if they start to give you a hard time, and you don't want to deal with that, tell them I'd be happy to talk to them. Um, so, um, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to them because I feel that personally, I feel that that's misinformation. So, um, anyway, so I wanted to talk about that. Let's see. I'm going to take a sip of tea here. I have tea with honey and lime here. Okay. Um, let's see. All right. So the next item, I wanted to update people. We started out with three three parcels. We started out with the Trap Rock parcel and the Halstead parcel and the Bailey Road parcel. However, a constituent came forward who had a credible claim that her parcel at Bailey Road and Reservoir Street um, was actually conservation land. She submitted documentation to the town manager and the town council reviewed it and agreed that she had a credible claim. And so a decision, the Board of Selectmen decided to take that parcel off. Um, and attribute the 11 acres that would have been at the parcel on Bailey Road to reallocate them to Trap Rock. Um, it was unfortunate, but um, but it was really felt that we didn't have if we had continued to pursue that, um, she would have continued to pursue it, and it would not have been a good situation. Yes, Mary Jude, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that because I did hear that, but was curious as to how that happened. And I appreciate the town council weighed in. I'm just wondering if it would make sense to communicate, for the town to communicate in some way to the state so that it's clear that we used their map and that apparently their map was missing some vital piece of information that the town
Right,
reviewed with legal counsel, and that if somewhere down the road, months from now, the town has reason to be looking at that map and deciding what to do because the failure of town meeting to approve this, I think it's going to be better that we bring this up now when we found it than later as kind of, oh yeah, by the way. I think just
right,
proactively, I would suggest that we pass along the information that we have along with whatever opinion of town council we received to to the um, to the Executive Office of Housing and Affordable Communities, or whatever they're called,
right, right.
um,
Yeah,
so
I
that
hear
they
you.
have.
I do. Yeah, I mean, it was the same on our GIS, the Holden GIS. Um, we couldn't see, that land looked totally clear, um,
Yeah.
as you may recall. It looked totally clear. Um, and Ken, this is one of the parcels that you suggested. Um, and, we thought it was a good one. Um, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't reflected. So I don't know at what point that is the right time to communicate that, but I think that I think that does make sense. So anyway, um, let's see. Okay, so I wanted to
What
update
does
you on that. Yes, go
what does
ahead.
that put the final acreages at? You said it'll be reallocated to Trap Rock, so that'll be is that 39 at Trap Rock and 11 at Halstead?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes. If we had time to find another good parcel, you know, it would have been nice, but we don't have that kind of time if we want to continue to present this at the special town meeting. So, one advantage of not having that parcel is that that leaves us with Halsted. And Peter has mentioned, um, and he said that the former superintendent also acknowledged that we get very few kids out of Halsted. So the worries of folks in Dawson, I think, hopefully we may need to, we can use that to allay some of the concerns of the folks in Dawson. So, um, anyway, so Peter, do you want to add anything?
No, sorry, I got here a few minutes late, but the was having a little technical difficulty, but the it sounds like you explained it pretty clearly. Uh, we're still in play. The Dave George is working on the ad and should have it in a timely fashion so that I think planning board will probably meet between the holidays and get their part done. And it'll come back to the board, and I think in time for the for the board of selectmen to get it on the warrant.
Great, great. Speaking of the planning board, I got the agenda from the planning board today that Dave sent. Thank you, Dave. Um, and I noticed that it was on that our plan was on the agenda, and my understanding had been that there was um, and it said amendments, and my understanding was that the way the ad had been written, this is from the town attorney, um, that the way the ad had been written did not permit us to amend it. We would have to amend it at the planning board in order to drop this third parcel. So can you explain that?
The way that the advertisement and therefore the legal notice was made w would require, if we changed it beyond some minor character changes, it would defy the notice is what town council said. So people are expecting one thing to be on the agenda based on what was filed with the town clerk and on file for everyone to look at. And then if it changes drastically, then it would fail the notice requirement once it went to the Attorney General, even if it was approved.
Right, but does dropping a parcel, excuse me, um, constitute a significant change enough to make it not possible to amend the plan?
Yeah, as he said, he believes that it would.
Okay, so in other words, it's on the agenda, but we actually can't drop the parcel. So, um, I think so. Why? So let me just ask, why is it on the agenda if we can't do it this time?
Well, because it was advertised as a hearing, so they have to
Oh,
still
right,
have
right,
a
right.
hearing.
Okay,
But
okay,
they'll either, I don't know, pass over it or say this plan as it stands. We've been advised that it wouldn't comply with the MBTA Communities Act, so therefore we're either voting it down or just passing it over. I don't know what they'll do exactly, but it's something along those lines. They have to hold the hearing.
okay, okay. Well, I don't want them to vote it down per se. I'd rather they just, you know, try to think procedurally. Um, maybe, um, can they postpone it to a future meeting, or maybe that doesn't quite work. Any thoughts? I just don't want them to vote it down. I mean,
No, I mean they can say on its face it fails to comply with the zoning, so could dismiss it, I guess. I don't know, not consider
yeah,
it.
yeah. I'd rather, I mean, dismissing it would be okay, I think. Um, Mary Jude, I know you're a lawyer too, so I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
Not my area of expertise.
Okay, yes, nor mine, but just, putting on my slightly rusty legal hat, um, for a moment. I'd rather have it be dismissed or, yeah, I guess we'd have to dismiss it. Rather than, I just don't, I would rather they not vote against it. I don't see why they would do that when they know that another version is coming. Does that make sense to people? Peter, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it matters. They're not going to get into any long discussion on it. I know they
Uh,
have to take it up just because it's a posted hearing. But either way, it's a technical failure, so it's not really a big
right,
deal, I think.
right. Well, my worry is if it gets quote unquote voted down, I worry about public perception, frankly. That's what I worry about. I know, oh, the planning board voted it down,
Yeah, I get it. But they will likely, you know, support the next one, so it's really the plan that matters, the final plan that
Right.
matters.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. But I'd rather that they just dismiss it because it needs to because of what we've learned since we submitted it. So anyway, okay, thank you. Um, so um, I mean, it would be good, I think, if uh, well, I mean, it's going to get dismissed, but I think it would not. It would be potentially good if folks from this working group could attend. It's 6:30. No, it's 6:30. Yes, on Tuesday night. I think just to, you know, in a general sort of way, show support. Does that make sense? That would be great. That would be great. Um, and I mean, you can, if you want to testify, you can do that. I don't know how that'll work since they're probably going to have to dismiss it. Um, or hopefully dismiss it. So, anyway, Right, so I'm sorry that Al's here because he wrote a long email, um, which had a lot of, which I thought had a lot of good points in it. Um, oh, let me, before I move on, does anyone have anything else to say about that? Okay, alrighty, so, um, let me look back at our agenda. Um, alrighty, um, so the community outreach. Let's see. Just want to make sure I've got everybody here. Mary Jude, you said you could reach out to the Wachusett Area of Commerce, Area Chamber of Commerce, um, when the time is right. James, you said you'd reach out to, you and I could talk to the Mayo folks, and Will, you and I could talk to the Dawson folks. Um, um, and then what about Davis Hill? I don't know that, couldn't find in my notes that we had assigned anybody to Davis Hill. Anybody have kids or grandkids or tied to Davis Hill?
Uh,
I don't have a tie to the school, but I'm happy to help if I can by going there. If there's
Thank you.
nobody else that's more closely tied.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. Let's see. All right, so
So I did speak with the executive director of the Wachusett Regional Chamber of Commerce, and similar to the Wachusett Regional School Committee, she said they have 7 member towns, and they would not typically weigh in for a one particular town issue. It doesn't involve all of their members. So she appreciated the outreach, but that it was not something town specific was not within what they would be comfortable commenting on.
you're talking about the school committee?
No, I think that was the same answer we heard from the school district, that there are 5 towns, and so that they, when we approached them, someone approached them, it was the same sort of answer. The chamber is 7
Oh, the
communities,
chamber. Oh, okay.
so the same sort of rationale that we
Oh,
heard
okay.
from the school committee.
Okay. All right. That's kind of too bad, but oh well. Um, okay, so I think, we had talked about most of our outreach not happening at the moment, but happening sort of, you know, in January. Um, that said, um, given that misinformation is already being spread, I think it would make sense perhaps to start a little bit earlier if possible. I mean, so for example, um, Elizabeth and I, Elizabeth is on the Council on Aging, and I'm the Select Board liaison to the Council on Aging. And so we had previously told the council we'd give them a little update. So we gave them a little update um, yesterday at their meeting. And so they were very receptive. I actually found, what did you think, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I thought it was a small group, but I thought that there was a high level of interest, and we got some good feedback about how important the level of detail we provided, or Linda provided, was needed, because most of the people on the council are already really involved in town goings on, but they didn't know a lot of what was presented before in terms of the background to the act and how we have approached the picking out of the parcels and what the requirements are in the act for the types of acreage and that kind of thing. So it just was a good reinforcement that we need to get that information out for people to fully understand what needs to get done.
Right, right. So, yeah, I thought it was good. They were very, yeah, receptive, I thought, which was nice. And I think they, as you said, they appreciated understanding the law and etc. And we did mention that we had to withdraw the Bailey Road parcel. So, let's see. So Al had several. He kind of in his email to me, and I think Peter, you probably got it. Um, um, he pointed out there was misinformation already spreading. Um, and he addressed the issue of, you know, reaching out to Dawson, and he pointed out that, well, Dawson is, if not totally over capacity, it's pretty close to capacity. And Peter, you mentioned that there's 488 um, out of a total capacity of 500 kids at Dawson, which I know is not at capacity, but it's pretty darn close, I think. Um, and so, um, and I know that in all our elementary schools and in the middle school, there's been a persistent worry about um, being over capacity or being so close. You know, we used to have more. One challenge, one thing that has made the capacity issue more acute is um, several years ago, under the former superintendent, um, we went from having only one full day kindergarten available, which was at Dawson, to having full day kindergartens available at all the schools. And so that has they've had to reallocate rooms that had originally been, I don't know if this is true at Dawson, but I know at the others, like Mayo, I think, they've had to, I believe, if I recall correctly, reallocate some rooms. Um, so to kindergarten, um, which makes this a sense of overcrowding worse, um, because they do have more kids there all day than they used to. It used to be they could have a morning kindergarten and an afternoon kindergarten. Now they have all day kindergarten. So it just makes a challenging situation a little bit worse. Um, or, so anyway, um, let's see. So Al had a number of really, I thought, useful arguments. Um, he pointed out that um, that with the um, pine tree project going in, there's a pine tree um, multifamily project um, going in. I forget where exactly is it, Peter?
It's between Bailey and Salisbury Street, just as you cross the bridge from Main Street to
Yes,
Salisbury.
yes. And as Peter has mentioned to me, it's called Pine Tree Estates, but they've cut down all the pine trees. um, and they'll probably plant some, right? They'll
No,
plant them where they want them.
there's
No?
no room. There's not going to be any room left for pine trees when they're done building on that
Oh my
property.
goodness. Oh, what a shame. Anyway, well, maybe they'll put them little potted plants or something. I don't know. So anyway, um, so if people go, look at those units hoping for pine trees, they're going to be disappointed. Um, and Al said that they're putting in, and this has already been approved, a 96 unit project. I don't know if that's correct, the number is exactly right, but I know at least 80 are going in there. Um, and um, so, um, Al argues that, having more kids there would actually help to bolster an argument that something needs to be done about, school overcrowding. Um, I don't know what people think about that. Um, Again, Halstead really has very few kids, which is one of the reasons we picked it. So, um, um, what we have to do is try to find a way to convince the Dawson community that that is the case. Um, and Al says we feels that we should try to use the argument that the more kids, the better the argument for like a new wing or a new school, etc. Um, I've just so you know, I looked at the NASDAQ numbers for Wachusett in general, Wachusett district, um, and from the town of Holden, the predictions are um, that the number of kids is going to bounce around somewhere around, if I recall correctly, and I think I have this somewhere up, um, somewhere around 9,000, like 50 or 60 to 9,000 90 or something like that. Um, it's not going to, the Holden number, according to this report, is not going to skyrocket. Um, Now, that doesn't mean specific schools won't get more overcrowded. I actually sent an email to the school committee chair to ask her if we had um, any projections by school. I doubt that they do, but it would be helpful. Peter, do you know anything?
I haven't heard of any student population studies being done in the recent in recent memory, but they are notoriously inaccurate,
Yeah,
especially when they come from DESE, especially when they come from DESE. But school populations are quirky, and it is incredibly difficult to really predict with any degree of accuracy.
right. Yes, yes. I know that when he was still the superintendent, Darrell McCall used to say that the 5-year projections were not so great, but he thought that generally speaking, the 10-year projections were better, shall we say. Um, that's what he said. Um, and I'm not sure. I have not verified that myself, um, but of course, COVID kind of threw a monkey wrench in all of our predictions. These predictions were from, I think, January of 2024, the ones I saw on NASDAQ. Let me see if I still have those up. Hang on a sec. I can show them to folks. Okay, let's see. Where did I put them? Okay, let's see. I do have them. Hooray. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Uh, my computer is not cooperating. I don't know. It does this to me sometimes. It's very frustrating. It's not letting me share. Oh, that's because I'm not the owner of this call. Wendy is owner. I wonder if Wendy. Oh boy, is anybody there? Wendy or Jay? Okay. It looks like, well, yeah, it's not letting me be host. Peter, do you have any way to hack into it? Okay, that's something we're gonna have to talk to Wendy about, maybe, or Jay, or whoever sets it up. But as I said, just looking at that document, um, I'm sorry, not 9,000, 3,000. Okay, so what they projected for 25, 26 was, I'm sorry, not, it wasn't 9,000, it was 3,000, excuse me, 3,034. Then then they said it would go up to 3,092, then down a little bit, then up a little bit, then down a little bit. I mean, it fluctuated. So the lowest number that I see here was, let's see, 3,034, and the highest number was 3,105. So, um, so those projections, those are the projections for the town as a whole. Um, so as I said, they're kind of, it's not a dramatic increase, in other words, and those can be spread between all the schools, including the middle school and the high school. So, um, so I think that's important to know. Um,
I
Another
think
important
there's
fact is
a,
that
I think
yes, sir.
there's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think it's not a red herring because it's relevant, but I think it's going to derail the conversation if at town meeting to start quoting statistics about student population projections because it's not the body's obligation to vote on building things, it's to vote on zoning it. So
Right.
we're a step away from having to talk about. I just see the conversation getting very much sidetracked rather than going into that sort of thing to just keep it focused on The idea is that we are required to zone X as of right, and the questions about how, if it is ever built, are questions for another day. That everybody's aware of these questions. It's just not the time and place at town meeting to have that debate. So I think in the in-between time, certainly it makes sense to share that information with people, but especially when we're doing the outreach. But it feels like a rabbit hole to me that will lose focus of the people who are there to vote at the meeting.
So what do people think about what Mary Jude just said?
I agree. Ken Strom.
You know, I mean, I think about it in terms of the community outreach, because there is this perception that, you know, overcrowding is going to get worse. There's definitely that perception in the town. And then I think especially in Dawson, since they have a modular, right? So, and I do think that to the extent we can possibly reassure people in the Dawson part of town that this isn't going to make their issue of, you know, either overcrowding or being close to overcrowded a lot worse. I think that could work in our favor in many ways. Al thought that it was, you know, a good argument for. I mean, his point was, you know, we may have to build another wing anyway, or another school anyway, and so we may as well, you know, that's another reason why, uh, you know, approving this plan is almost, you know, makes the argument for another wing or another school better. That's his perspective, I think. Peter, did you get a chance to read his email?
I did. I mean, I don't know really what's the best direction when it comes to. I don't know that any argument is going to sway some folks with regard to whether the school gets overcrowded or not, or whether they believe that, or whether there's just an overall fright of it happening. Um,
Right.
so, I mean, there's only so much logic, I guess you can use.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. So, anyway, yes. So what to do in the face of, uh, shall we say, um, misperceptions, persistent misperceptions. How's that for a tongue twister? Persistent misperceptions, or, you know, I guess one could say illogic, or just, you know, fear, fear. Um, you know, the Dawson kids are already, some of them, in a modular. They're frustrated about that. Um, you know, how do you try to allay fear, people's fears? Anybody have any thoughts about that? I suppose one thought is that, you know, this isn't going to happen. These places are not going to get built for a while. Um, there's some folks who say, oh, it'll be in 3 years. It'll all be built in 3 years. Well, um, I think that the Pine Tree approved in 21, Peter?
It was probably originally presented in I would say it was probably 8 years ago or so, when
Uh-huh.
when it originally came before the town. It went through the process. There were some legal challenges. The property was actually just sold finally with the plan to a developer about, I think, 2 years ago. And so the actual construction and clearing started about 3 months ago.
I think
So
it
that
came to
was
the
the timeline
Conservation
on that.
Commission. Peter, I think it came to the Conservation Commission probably around 2010. It was a long time ago.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
an
That so it was
INRAD.
even yeah.
They wanted to confirm the wetland boundaries at the time.
Oh,
So it wasn't,
I
they didn't
see.
have the design, but they wanted to confirm.
Yeah, so I mean it is generally with any development like that, it is a process that is a good 10 years from conception to beginning of construction. It can be as much as 20 or 30. I mean there have been some the larger one off Union Street right now is that was like 30 years ago that originally was filed at least. So you have to even consider when the property might even be ever sold to start with. You have to consider what would be developed to say at a Halsted. Um, would they Halsted is primarily a property management company. I don't know that they do any development on their own at all. So would they sell off part of their own parcel to a developer? Would they contract it out to develop more? And how many years would that take? It's not something that's right around the corner. Any kid that's in Dawson now will be probably in college by the time anything is built, if not older. Maybe the kids that are there now, their kids might be impacted.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That to me might be one of our strongest arguments. That these things take time and we can use Pine Tree as an example of that. Right.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that might be our best argument. Um, so, um, thank you for that, Peter. Thank you. That's helpful. And Ken, thank you for mentioning the Conservation Commission. Um,
Sure.
that's really useful to know. Um, so again, we have to give people a reality check and try to combat this misinformation. Um, so easier said than done. Peter's smiling, I can see.
It's,
So
I mean,
anyway,
it's still tough because, even 10 years goes by really quickly. The 10 years with Pine Tree has gone by very, very quickly. In spite of it having some trials and tribulations along the way and some legal questions with us and it being probably a very difficult parcel to build on. It remains to be seen how hard it's going to be as we move on. I'm sure Ken's aware of potential water issues and everything else that site lends itself to. So they all do, um, and you just don't know. But certainly, it's not something that's going to be popping up next year.
right. You mean Halsted? Is that what you mean? Or Pine
Um,
Tree, sorry.
no, I was talking about Pine Tree.
Okay, all right. I see. So there are water issues there. Okay, good to know. Um, all right. So, I mean, it is really interesting just how much of Holden is covered by wetlands of various kinds, um, or aquifers or whatever. So,
Actually, Pine Tree doesn't have that. Pine Tree is a hilltop development. Then the only wetlands there were along the railroad and along back of some of the homes on Bailey. So they
oh,
kind
okay,
of, yeah, they just confirmed the wetlands back 15 years ago.
okay.
But
So,
plenty of the other sites in town have plenty of wetlands and they're not hilltop sites.
yeah, right, got it. Okay, good to know. Thank you. All right. So, let's see. Okay. Um, okay. So, um, Al also makes the point. Well, anyway, well, I'll just mention this. Al also makes the point that um, um, the withholding of discretionary grants by the state. Um, I don't know if people heard. This is another update. Um, People heard that the state is withholding a $3,200 grant to the school district, ostensibly because we have not complied yet with the MBTA. Had
That
people heard that?
that was they withdrew that I
Okay,
think
good.
yesterday, and they said it was an error. So
Oh,
that
really?
that grant will be forthcoming now after there was some. I believe the state senator released a scathing press release on that. So they
Yes.
corrected the error, thankfully.
Yes, yes. Well, if they want to call it an error, that's fine. Um, so, um, you know, I mean, I thought the school district, of course, since we are most schools are part of the municipal government, but because we're in a regional school district, WRSD is a separate entity. Um, so, and of course, some of the other towns have um, have been required to comply with the MBTA Communities Act, and they're further along than we are on that. So, but we're gonna get there, darn it. um, so, even if I don't have any voice left by the end. So, um, let's see. Okay. Let's see. He makes an argument. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take his arguments and make them a document and put them onto the G drive. Okay. So, um, okay. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to take a sip of water. So, okay. So I'll do that. Speaking of the G drive, today I put on the G drive a document that Elizabeth had found, which had to do with myth busting the MBTA Communities Act. It was a general document that was created by a statewide organization, MAPC. I forget frankly what that stands for. And
Mass Association of Conservation Commissioners.
no, Mass Association.
MACC?
No,
MACC?
MAPPC.
Oh, my bad.
It's Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
Ah, thank you.
I had to
So-
write it down because I kept forgetting what it was too.
So I started, so, some of it I thought was helpful, some of it I thought was too general. So I started writing our own little myth busting document for Holden. Elizabeth, I'm hoping that's okay with you. Or would you like to go over that
Absolutely.
document?
I just thought it was the format was helpful and there was some little factoids in there that could easily apply. But I think
Yes.
if we were to come up with something specific to our town, it would make it a lot, more reasonable for people to take it at its value. The other thing I want to throw out there is that link that I sent you to the Paxton webpage that they have or had about the act and what they're proposing on the warrant article that was really specific to Paxton. Data about school enrollment, data about taxes, data about, it was just really, really specific, somewhat similar to like the myth busting, but not exactly. It was more like it was formatted as a Q&A or FAQ. And it was really specific to how Paxton voters were going to have to weigh these things out. And that's housed on the town of Paxton website. And so
Right.
that's something that when we talk about that there's already information out there that we'd like to dispel, that if it was possible to get something like that on the internet prior to us going out, because I really don't think we're going to have much time to do face-to-face kinds of sessions before we get past the new year. But if there was a reference point that we could put on the Facebook page for the town, now here's a link to the FAQ here on the town website. It's, I know that's probably, I'm making it sound too simple, but if we could work towards something like that, I don't know, Town Manager Luke, do you think that that's something feasible? And have you seen the Paxton page that I'm talking about by chance?
I haven't seen the Paxton page, but I think you can lean heavily on CMRPC for this type of media. They've done it, obviously multiple times for other communities, and they have templates ready to roll for us. And so I would absolutely use as much of their services as we could for this. And I know we're granted quite a bit of it with the grants that we got. So that would be your first, I think, line. And I would also suggest that maybe you start considering any kind of some sort of dates that you'd like to do for public
Right.
forums and reserve those now if you want to reserve like the senior center or wherever you want. so that there won't be any kind of conflict or whatever. That would be I would suggest going through a calendar before you end tonight and coming up with a few dates.
Okay. Right. So, all right, great. Thank you, Peter. Um, so, do people want to see the Paxton page real quick? Or I can put a link to it on the G Drive. Yes, no, maybe. I'll put a link to it on the G Drive. That's what I'll do. All right, great. So, um, and like I said, I'll put the MAPC document, and then when I'm ready, I will put my draft of the Holden document on there. Just a couple of one general argument about taxes is that most of these multifamily developments are very valuable. They actually generate a meaningful amount of taxes, and there's evidence out there, for example, from the Pioneer Institute, that they um, basically they make up for whatever they might cost, basically, at a minimum, um, in most cases. So anyway, um, okay, so let's see. Alrighty. So, okay.
Linda, to that point, I was looking to see who the owner of the Newberry parcel was
Yes.
because it's definitely not Halsted. All they do is management.
Uh,
The property's assessed at $40 million.
right, right. Yes. Who's the owner?
It's a holding company called Newberry Drive Owner LLC. I'm gonna
Oh, interesting. Newbury
look and
Drive.
see who's behind them, but yeah, but the assessment was 40 million and change.
Newbury Drive, LLC.
Newberry Drive Owner
Owner.
LLC.
It's interesting. Huh. It's an interesting title. Anyway,
That is a lot of tax revenue.
right, right. And how much? Yeah. How did you say how much it generated? 40 million or something? Or no, the value is 40 million.
I'm not sure if it shows the assessment because it depends on what the what the rate is, which changes. I'm not sure somebody would have to do math, and that somebody is not me.
Okay, fair enough. Right. Okay, so that's something to think about. Um,
It's
okay.
it's a real estate investment company that owns it.
Well, that makes sense. It does.
A big money holding company.
Right, right. That makes sense. It does. So,
That's $30,000. Sorry.
what
Yeah,
James,
30,000.
what, the- what, you mean if it's worth 40 million, then it pays 30,000 in taxes?
300. Yeah, sorry. Missed a zero there, I think.
Okay, I was gonna say that's awfully
300,000.
low.
300,000.
300,000?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that does make some sense. Um, something in that range anyway, maybe. Probably, it's certainly more valuable than the single family home would be on the same acreage, I would imagine. Um, does that sound, does that make sense to people? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, we'll go with that for the moment, but we'll do a little more research. So, okay. Did folks get a chance to look at the survey Ron put together? Did you send him comments? I sent him comments. I was hoping he could have another draft for tonight, but let's see. Let me double check. Um, by the way, Ron there's a separate MBTA CA subfolder, or whatever you call it, folder on the G drive, which is the one that Ron has access to. So people should be aware of that. Apparently he doesn't see everything we see. He posts what he wants to share in that folder. So people should take a look at that. So
Is it? You said the survey's on the working group?
yep, it's on the drive. And let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right.
I
Let's
did
see.
take a
Yes.
look at it. I did not send Ron any comments. I had sort of just, I think it could be shorter and fewer words and
Yes.
stuff, but I'm not, but so what's the plan with that? Like, would that be a website thing? And for what period of time would it be open? I think there's a thing at the end that's kind of open-ended. Please put any other comments here that you have, other than, the check boxes of the other questions. So what's their recommendation about how that rolls out? What were they thinking?
I mean, in terms of the comments at the end.
I don't have it up, but I think there was sort of a catch-all question at the end that people could actually write things rather than just either ranking or checking boxes the way the rest of it was.
All right.
But so is it CMRPC gets them? They're going to collate everything for us. There's a 4-week window of time. You access it through the website. What were they proposing for the mechanics of this?
I think what we had talked about was we would have a QR code. We could distribute a document with a QR code. Was one option. And the other end, I mean, I would love to have a website. I really wish Ron was here. um, I believe he said initially that he thought he could do a website, but I didn't feel that his answer was completely firm. But I think we could use one, and I think having the survey on the website, and I think also sending it out to people would be helpful. And I don't think we want to do ranking. I think we want to find out people's concerns about about the two parcels, but don't rank them. I mean, that I think is problematic. Because we're trying to present this as a cohesive plan. Is my feeling. So anyway, all right, so I can pull up the survey if people want, or we can skip over it and go to planning dates.
Linda,
Yes.
Ken Strom. Maybe something with the we have flyers every month with the light department mailings.
Right. Yes.
It doesn't have to be the full survey. Maybe at least point to the website and sort of a FAQ overview.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about that, but I think that is a really good strategy. So, Peter, would that be feasible? Just sending out a brief document with the QR code?
For the survey,
Yes, or whatever else we might want to send out.
I think it depends. Let me check on it. Let me check what the legalities and or the costs would be as well.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right. All right. So it sounds like what people would like to do is my guess is that people would like to get to dates. Would that be a good thing to do? Or do you want to talk? I'm sorry. Do we want to talk about the survey now, or do we want to go to dates? Let me ask that.
I'm just gonna echo. I heard it already. It's a little long.
It's a little long. I totally agree. Yeah, it
Mm.
is. Um, if anybody has ideas about how to cut it, feel free to send them to Ron, and I'll take another look at it.
Yeah.
As well.
This is my first time seeing it. I must have missed it in the original email. But
No
yeah, I'll do
worries.
that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. All right, great. Pardon me. We did want to try to send this out this month, I believe, because then we could respond to whatever people had to say next month when we do the outreach, or most of the outreach. So anyway, um, let's see. Okay, so let's go to dates. So, and then we'll do minutes. I'm sorry, I sort of started things a little backward. I forgot about the minutes. But we can end, I think, by doing the calendar and then reviewing the minutes, voting on those. Um, does that sound like a good plan to folks?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Okay, so let's talk about um, okay, so Mary Jude, you already talked to the Wachusett Chamber of Commerce. Um, James, um, you and I need to talk to the folks at Mayo, or the Mayo PTA or whomever. Um, what does your schedule look like in January?
Open.
Open?
I'm not aware of anything. Yeah, any day of the week,
Okay.
anytime after 4:30.
Oh, okay. Anytime after 4:30. Okay, great. Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Anytime after 4:30. I have okay, great.
If I could make a suggestion about the schools, I think I would approach it where we ask them what would work for them,
Yes.
because I don't know if they have monthly PTO meetings or if there's other um, vehicles by which you can show up at the school and have an audience, but we are kind of like the guests attending those sessions. So to me, it would make sense to actually contact the school first or the PTA president or whoever and ask how might we schedule times to come to your school, because I think it might be kind of restricted, and
Right.
rather than us propose dates to them, it might be more
Good
well
point.
received
Okay,
if
so
we ask them what would work for them.
I think you're absolutely right, Elizabeth. Thank you. Um, that makes perfect sense. Um, but it's good for me to know what everyone's schedules are, so that if they do respond, um, then um, we can, I can, I know what your schedules are, and I can make appointments. Um, so I think a lot of PTOs meet at night, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I know for me, I can take vacation time during the day, but for me, um, what's best would be to have them at least after 3:30, and um, 4:30 would be even better for me. Evenings would be better for me. Um, so I was full time until events at the federal level had an impact on the state, and now I'm down to 30 hours a week. So um, anyway, um, okay, so Will, what's your schedule like? I don't know if you're there. Will, we can't. You're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Okie dokie. So, um, maybe we can follow up at another time about dates since I can't hear you. Um, I really wish we could use the chat, but we can't. Um, I did ask Ken in the chat before the meeting started if he could hear me because he was having some technical difficulties, but
Yes.
um, yeah, was that you, Will?
No, this is Ken here. I'm still here.
Oh, Ken. Okay, thank you confirming. All right, great. All right. So, all right. Elizabeth, what's your schedule like?
I'm pretty open.
Okay,
Yeah, I
great.
have various meetings and family obligations, but they're very flexible. So
Okay, great. Terrific. Okay, this is very helpful. So I'll look at my calendar. I have some flexibility, but not 100%. So, okay, great. Then let's see. All right. Ken, um, do you think
Yes.
we could talk to the Conservation Commission?
Sure. January 7th is our next meeting, first Wednesday.
Okay. All right.
We can get you on the agenda.
Oh, that would be fabulous. Thank you.
Yep.
January 7th. I have to make sure it's a Tuesday night.
Wednesday, first
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Oh, good.
Probably.
Okay, that's
Yep.
good. Because mostly my Wednesday nights are pretty open. Good.
Okay.
Do you feel, I know, I'm so sorry about some of the difficulties we've had um, with your access to the meetings. I feel terrible about it. Um,
No
do
problem.
you do you feel like you're comfortable with the plan we came up with and the having to drop the parcel?
Uh, drop. You talking about the Pratchniak dropping that,
Yes.
or
Yes, we had
I,
to.
I would. Well, personally, I would not have recommended Pratchniak. That was not on my list. I was always, Route 68 or 120, Trap Rock, or even up on 31.
I
But
see. Okay.
Urbanovich on 68 was one of the in the Holden Realty on Route 68. Those were a
Oh,
couple.
I see. Okay. Um,
But yeah, no, I knew there was issues with Pratchniak.
I see. Okay. Okay.
I've walked that
So,
property a few times, and there's a number of environmental issues there. I
okay.
used to be able to walk through there with the anchor Nielsen. Long story, but anyhow, yeah, I know it fairly well.
Okay, great. All right. So, all right. Okay, good to know. All right, I'm glad you're comfortable with moving forward with the plan that we have, the 39 acres on Trap Rock and 11 acres on um, Halstead. That's great.
Yes.
So we can talk to the Conservation Commission about that. So
Yep.
let's see. Okay.
I I do need to
Yes.
sign off shortly. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
I,
okay,
I
James.
did I did just want to say one thing. I think I was on mute when I was trying to say it earlier. Um, I think we might want to lean more heavily into the forced compliance angle if we don't comply. Um,
Yes.
and also I was going to suggest this to Ron, but include something regarding 40B
Okay,
on
so
the affordable section, to say that is also another forced compliance mandate by the state, that by doing this could help us put in compliance with that. And that may not ease concerns with people, but might help them face reality that there are worse outcomes to what we are doing
okay,
if the state steps in and zones for us. That's what I'm
oh, I
getting at.
see. So you're saying that if the steps in and zones for us, then they might include affordable housing?
No, not that they'll include affordable housing, that they'll put it on somewhere that isn't beneficial to the town, that will get built up instantly. That like this is kind of like the thing that's back in the back of my head, that kind of changed me from a skeptic of this to no,
Uh,
this needs to get done. And initially I was a skeptic of this. the law. But no, we do need to figure something out. So I guess that's my closing remarks before I sign off.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I'll
and
Thanks. I
message
appreciate
Ron
that.
about this as well.
yeah, and James, I agree with that strategy. That's why I was thinking going off into the school population is that you really need to focus on why we have to do this, and all of the other stuff will come out in the wash. I don't think it's helpful to add affordable housing. You're exactly right. It's like 40B and it can be forced down the town's throat. I get that. But people are already equating dense with affordable, which is not true. Not all of the units up at Halstead are affordable. It's a small percentage.
Right.
So I agree with the sort of the sword hanging over our head as the motivation.
Yeah, I think, and then, you know, I think that is a really important point. Yes, absolutely, because, um, that might counteract some of the fear out there that with a greater fear. Um, so anyway, all right. So thank you, everyone, for sharing your schedules. I'll follow up you about your schedule. Um, so let's see. Okay, so do we want to take a few minutes and review the minutes? Thanks, Will. Um, do we want to take a few minutes and review the minutes and then we can be done for the night and actually for once not have a marathon meeting. I'm sure people would appreciate that. So let's see here.
Linda, excuse me, before we do the minutes, um, would it be all right if I reached out to the senior center to find out, like they're one of the busier places in town for evenings,
Yes,
and it might help uh, make it a faster process if I talk to Karen and find out what are available evenings in January if we want to use that setting. And the other place I was thinking about was the Holden Municipal Light Community Room. I mean, just kind of doing some advanced work in terms of finding out availability and how long it takes to book ahead, and
right, right.
maybe if
I
we're doing those simultaneously with some of the school efforts. I also wanted to talk to Karen, the senior director, about the Friends meetings and if we could make, if one of us could get on the agenda at an upcoming Friends of the Council on Aging meeting so that we have an audience there. But I don't know where their meetings are. I mean, I don't know when they are, that kind of thing. So if you're all right with that, or if the committee's okay, I would go ahead and do some research to that end.
I I think that's really wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, great. So, um, let's see. Um, great. And I assume we would want to have that filmed. Does that make sense to people? Yes, I think it's important to have it
Yeah.
filmed so it's available for people. Yes, good. So we need to have Holden Community Television there. So that's something else we have to schedule. So, right, yes. So, anyway, great. Okay. All right. So anything else before we take a look at the minutes? All right. So let's then proceed with that. So, um, if the minutes are on the G drive, of course, um, and there's actually a separate folder for them. Um, so I think we have to look at 1113 and 1120. All righty. Have people had a chance to review the minutes? Need another? Do you need another minute for the minutes? I'll take that as a yes. Okay. Let me know when you're ready. And I think, let's see, November 13th, let's see. Um, I don't think you can. We're at the November 13th meeting. Through no
Yes,
fault of your own.
correct.
So you would abstain in that case.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the November 13th meeting as presented.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, James. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
I see Mary Jude raising her hand. Everyone else says aye, as far as I can tell. Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Well, abstentions, I should say. Abstentions.
Abstain.
Ken
Ken Strom.
Strom abstains. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 votes yes with one abstention. Okay, thank you. All right, now let's take a look at the meetings from November 20th. Excuse me. Hey, Peter, your name is slightly misspelled. It says Luke instead of Luke's. We can make a formal amendment if you like. Um, okay, we'll make a formal amendment to fix Peter's name. All right. Someone will have to propose the amendment. But feel free to we're not ready yet. I'm sure people are still reading. Okay, so what I don't see here is at the end, the assignments that people had undertaken, like James, you had said you could do Mayo along with me, and Will, you said you could do Dawson along with me. And Elizabeth, you had said you and I would do the Council on Aging, and then let's see. You also said something, oh, the landmark in Wachusett News. Oh, yes, media strategy. Oh, and social media strategy. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, dear. We might have to talk about that just briefly after we get through the minutes. Um, let's see. I'm going to propose we hold these minutes to the next meeting, and then I will write up some edits to them, if that's okay with people. Do I hear a motion to hold these
Yes.
minutes to the next
Motion to
meeting?
hold, yeah.
Thank you, James.
Second.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Okay, we do have to, I'm sorry, I wanted to let everybody go, but we do have to talk about things like the landmark, Wachusett News, let's see, and also social media, Mountaineer Mamas, and Wachusett. I mean, I've already seen some unhappiness on Wachusett about this, and particularly with respect to Dawson.
I
So,
can speak to a couple of those things, Linda, because I did do some checking only as recently as today, unfortunately. But I messaged the admin on WatchUChat about at least posting the times and places of the information sessions. And I did also acknowledge within my message to her that I know it's a difficult emotional topic. So if she, when they don't necessarily want us to have that information out there, I'm sure she'll let me know. Or if she does allow it to be out there, we'll have another access point at least to get the information sessions out, even if we don't put specific information about the act. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what she'll come back with, because
right.
the group rules do, mention politics, and nothing political is allowed. And so it kind of depends on what their interpretation is of political. I didn't even reach out to Mountaineer Mamas for that reason, because it's really specific what they want, what they don't want when I read the rules. So I don't think we have access there. I did send an email to the it's not editor, I forget what her title is, the person who I could approach on the Wachusett Free Press. And she got right back to me and said, I asked two questions. I asked about at least putting times and places for the information sessions on their calendar section, and could we get an article published? And she answered enthusiastically that they would love to help with postings of the information sessions as soon as we had those dates and places. She didn't answer the question about getting an article published. So I'm going to get back to her with a progress update on the sessions and just reiterate our question about getting an article. And then the landmark, I did send an email off today, and I haven't heard back from them, but I imagine they'll be open to something.
So, thank you, Elizabeth. Wow, you're a whirlwind. You've done so much. I really appreciate it.
It's easy making calls.
Okay, well, thank you. So the landmark, there was a reporter who had two articles. I believe they were on the same page a couple of weeks ago. One was about taxes in Holden, and I think, and the other was about the Prop 2.5 override. They were both on, if not the front page, they were on the same page. I had my own issues about that as a member of the select board, but anyway, I wonder if he would be someone to reach out to at the landmark, or just to an editor. Um, I don't know if folks have about, his name was Eric something. Um, does anybody, um, want to reach out to him, or would it be better to reach out to an editor there?
I'm just trying to pull up the email I sent, because I did email somebody identified on the website as a contact. I think it was an editor or the editor. I just haven't heard back from that person yet.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, that's good. Thank you very much. So, yeah, we gotta get in landmark. It's not everybody reads it, but enough people do. I have one person who actually, just without me even asking, said she could do she could do a letter to the editor. I think she meant to the landmark. Um, so that would be good, I think. Um, so, all right. So I think we have to start anyway of a social media. And we do want to do a website. Um, one question I have is, you know, so I know that some people on the school committee have expressed um, reluctance to debate issues online because other members of the school committee could see them, and it might violate open meeting law. I mean, from my perspective, if one way to get around that is to post it on a web page that doesn't where post it on like a Facebook page where you are not um, connected to anybody else on the board. Um, I don't know, Peter, do you have any, or Mary Jude or whomever, Elizabeth, anybody have any thoughts about that?
I think so long as you don't engage in debate, someone merely seeing it isn't a violation of open meeting law any more than you making a statement in the newspaper or issuing a press release or anything else or speaking on any level. That doesn't violate anything. That's you just simply stating an opinion, even if it's online. What you couldn't do is then just cross debate and have an open discussion with someone. I think that's where you're starting to get into trouble. But um,
Uh,
otherwise, I don't see the problem there. If you with regards to the website, rather than set up a separate thing, I mean, maybe CMRPC would handle that, so it wouldn't be a big deal. But if it is, we can set up a page from the town website that's distinct, so that it wouldn't be even have a Holden MA extension necessarily, but it could be a URL that's just something that you want individually.
okay, that would be good. That would certainly be good. Um, yeah, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
But CMRPC might have a way of hosting it as well, so I don't want to step on their toes if it's better.
Well, between the two of you, hopefully we can get a website up. Now, when you say we can't debate, does that mean we can't debate anybody or we can't debate other committee members?
No, it's just within the committee. So in other words, all you're
Okay.
all you're trying to avoid doing is having discussions and coming to sort of almost decisions without it being an open posted meeting. So that's
Right,
really where the
right.
issue lies.
Right. So we should not comment on each other's posts, in other words, if we post. But we can
Correct.
respond to constituents.
Correct.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Um, all right. So, okay. Anything else before we close? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And I would suggest that people start posting early and often because the opposition is doing that. So, um, thank you very much for attending tonight.
Motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
All right. Great. Will is seconding. Great. Okay, good. Um, all in
He's getting
favor?
good at that. Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? All right. It is unanimous. We are adjourned.
I
Thank
hope
you,
you
everybody.